as he lifts the Bob O'Keefe Cup. Kilkenny are Leinster champions for the 70th time.
Leinster title, but that's not going to worry Kilkenny.
Just hold those thoughts for a moment. Let's hear from Richie Hogan. He's with Clare.
Richie, another trophy for the cabinet. Pleasing afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose a tough start for us. You know, really competitive game. Galway got the goals, I suppose, vital times, and we kind of just stayed plugging away. We kind of, you know, we didn't really have a purple patch in the game. We kind of just always stayed ticking over the scores, and I think we put up a big score in the end, and, you know, thank God it was enough.
Yeah, it was level a couple of times, but I suppose there was always the sense that Kilkenny were in control of this game.
I don't know, you never, well, maybe it might have looked like that from the stand, but it's never like that when you're on the field. You just have to keep doing the right things as best you can, no matter how much pressure you're under. And, you know, I don't know if we drove too many wides today. The forwards, the inside forward line especially, really had the radar on and, you know, really helped us.
Galway are a team, of course, that have caused you trouble in the past. Did that make you extra wary today?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I mean, Galway have a huge hurling tradition, and while they haven't won an All-Ireland in a long time, doesn't mean that they've gone away. You know, every time we play Galway, they really are competitive. And you know, we all saw. I mean, I think the last two championship outings we had against them were both went to a replay, and while we won the replay, we were really worried about this game, really wary of it, because, you know, Leinster Championship means a lot to us, and, you know, to come up here at Croke Park on any day really means a lot to all Kilkenny people, and it's great to go home with a win.
Well, the trophy's collected and you're on the march now into the All-Ireland semis.
Yeah, we've a good break. Gives us a chance to play a couple of club games and, you know, a chance to get a bit of rest in and prepare for whoever it is on the other side. And I mean, we're not, you know, we always just focus on ourselves for the next couple of weeks, and we'll worry about whoever's coming through when the quarterfinals are over.
Congratulations today, Richie.
Thanks very much, Claire.
Okay, Richie Hogan with Clare. He always speaks extremely well. There was a comment that I picked up on, one of several that TJ Reid made, Michael, in his interview afterwards, where he said the real work starts now.
Yeah, well, it doesn't. Yeah, I suppose. Look, it's been talked about many times over the years that maybe Kilkenny get it too easy coming out of Leinster. That's not their fault, but they probably keep a bit in reserve for the All-Ireland semi-final and for the finals. That's Leinster's. They've won 70 Leinster championships now. Doesn't mean a lot. You can see it there. They're gone with the cup. Job done. With bigger days ahead. Winning All-Irelands is what matters, and how Kilkenny players are measured. You know, I was just thinking there from an Offaly point of view. I was down in Ennis last night, beaten by 20 points by Clare. Yeah. How far back we've gone. If we could ever get back and win a Leinster championship.
For 20 years, the last one for Offaly, isn't it?
20 years, 95, yeah, that was our last one, and like, geez, a long time ago now, but you know, Wexford, even if they could win one, Galway, Dublin, it means so much, but Kilkenny, they can still do enough, they can still eke out these results. It's not a criticism of theirs, I suppose everybody else has to get to that standard. But it just shows you how professional they are. And just something that struck me there, in the minor match beforehand, Dublin were a point up with a couple of minutes to go, and Kilkenny scored the last 3 points of the game to win that. And the condition of Kilkenny teams, people never talk about it. Their fitness levels, their strength. You saw Colin Fennelly there at the very end. He hasn't hurled for a while. He's been out injured. There was a ball there that had to be won. He won it. And it's something that just, I think, is underestimated, the work that they put in. And they planned that under Mick Dempsey meticulously down there. And
I mean, you take the slap that Kieran Joyce took, right? Lesser men would have been sitting in the stands or maybe carted off, right? I mean, that looked a serious blow, but he took it full on. There was nothing malicious about it or anything like that from the Galway side, but he just shook it off, got it back into his position and stuff like that, right? They are hard, you know, and you give them the tough stuff.
I think it's a badge of honour though as well. I don't know if Kieran Joyce, I'm not sure medically how he was. Sarah Donnellan scored 3 points in the second half off him. He looked to be a bit dazed, I'm not sure, but you know, there were short Richie Power today, there were short, maybe lacking a little bit of strength and depth. 1 or 2 players, Jackie Turl was taken off, 1 or 2 more maybe struggling a little bit, but they didn't seem to have, you know, that much to bring on off the bench. Maybe that's something that, you know, down the road might come back to haunt him, but
at all times it was very good. You know, we dug in and we just kept going and kept working, and we got some very good scores. Just essentially, I suppose, the attitude of the whole team right through the game was the most pleasing thing.
Kilkenny they're All-Ireland champions. They're super players. But as I said earlier, very little in it, and you know, huge amount of work for us and huge experience for our younger players, and you know, we will be still a huge threat. And said there to Brian Cody afterwards, we'll see them in the All-Ireland final.
The lads go back to the clubs now and that, you know, they play a club match and that, and we'll sit down and we'll plan it out, you know. It's, you know, a situation we've been in before, obviously, so we'll look at it, we won't overdo things, and we'll try and hit Croke Park for the All-Ireland semi-final fit and fresh.
Well, Anthony Cunningham took positives from that match down low, but Kilkenny, 6 men retired after they won the All-Ireland last year. 6 from a team, and it looks like nothing has changed.
Yeah, look, you just have to give huge credit to Kilkenny. I think they've won 14 of the last 17 Leinster titles, and there's so many things to admire about them. But I think just listening to Brian Cody talking about getting hit there and how they reacted, the reality is that when you punch Kilkenny, you can be sure they're going to keep punching you back, and whoever's going to beat them is going to have to stay punching for a long time.
With a knockout blow, yeah. They stay cool under pressure. You thought that was one of the big differences between the sides today, Anthony?
Yeah, there's that little bit of composure that separates them from the others. Maybe Tip have it as well. We see a couple of examples here. We could have picked out a load, like Erle Tanyan coming upfield. He tried manfully all day, but dispossessed. And then they draw the free very cleverly, like they knew they had the advantage anyway, you know. Again, late on, Galway needing a goal. I think it was 4 points in it. Cyril Donlan had a great game for Galway, to be fair to him. But shoots for the point when we see Joseph Cooney loose in the middle. Opposed to that then, Colin Fennelly, quiet enough today, so is Walter Walsh, but nothing much on up front as we can see, but looks across the field, late in the game, clinical score, and again, like a sharp puck out, work long, breaking ball, Reid, superb all day, beautiful pick-up, doesn't try to go forward, senses that there's men behind, Hogan's behind, and you know, Hogan just will finish those all day, and that just separates them slightly from everybody else, and it's from belief and it's from all those titles, as Donald has mentioned.
Yeah. Now, the first half produced 2 goals for us, and both gave us talking points for different reasons, Donald.
Yeah, for different reasons, Des. Here you see Kilkenny goal, probably not an untypical goal in him over the last number of years. Ger Elwood breaking onto it, lifts his head, sees he's got a number of runners inside, and TJ Reid following up and gets in for the goal. There was a bit of talk about the number of steps, Anthony, you were looking at that?
Yeah, I think we had to go counting them, Des. I think it was on the 10th he played it across, so I think it's what drives people demented, is a little bit of inconsistency. I was at a minor game during the week, I saw a couple of over-carryings, fellas were on their 5th or 6th step, that was 10. And it's a goal, and it hurts them quite a bit, you know.
But if you were Galway, you shouldn't be complaining about that. You should look at your own contribution. Look at where Joe Canning was there for a handy pass. For some reason, Jason Flynn went for the awkward ball. But even more disappointing was, if you look at it here, you've got 2 Galway defenders who get drawn into the one man and into the one ball. Aylward makes the run around, but not alone that. Watch Richie Hogan here, who should be tracked by the Galway man on his right-hand side. Like we see it, Aylward gets the ball. You've got Hogan inside, so
he's a bit unlucky. Dahi Burke eventually with the touch, he gets on it to pop straight into TJ's hand, but that's because they follow up.
Dahi did well to get back, but it's opportunity for Coon. But here, look at this, absolute poetry in motion.
Just a thing of beauty. There's, you know, I mean, how he kept his eye on the ball, but then to swivel like that and plant the ball without looking at the goal in the far corner of the net. Only Joe can really do things like that on the pitch.
And the balance there, because he's turning around, he's trying to keep his eye on something that's coming out of the sky. To keep his balance and be able to finish it with that power, it was something special.
I was saying today you'll have kids falling over at summer camps tomorrow trying to turn the same way.
A few cruciates out of that. Be careful.
Yeah. Another talking point for today, you were watching from behind the goal. You were really impressed with the role of Richie Hogan.
Yeah, look, Richie Hogan is probably, you know, pound for pound, definitely in the top 3 hurlers in the country, if not the best. And, you know, most people will associate Richie with the points that he gets. Here he is supporting, coming from distance. He made this run from the other side of the field, and there's no better man in a position like that, and the way he strikes the ball on the run is beautiful. But as effective and dangerous is his link-up play. And today, time and time again, we saw him in support, but also we saw him with a huge amount of space.
Yeah, I think, you know, they put Dahi Burke man marking him when he was up front early on, and he was very effective. I don't think he was in the play for 17 minutes in the first half, but if you allow him to come deep like that, he's such a player that he'll hurt you from his own 65-yard line. He'll influence the play, he'll link up, he'll score, he'll get forward and support at all stages.
And after about 38 minutes, Galway brought on young Cooney, and whatever was going on, the amount of space that he was giving him was even more than Dahi had been giving him. And time again, you see him going into the supporting positions. Here again, look at the amount of space.
So he has to be man-marked.
I think if you were the coach, like we were saying, you'd have to seriously consider actually man-marking because of the amount of damage that he does. And I know you might make the point, look, man-marking a guy in that position, but this is Richie Hogan that we're talking about.
So that's very clear of it. These stats kind of prove your point.
Proves our point, and if you look at the top right-hand side, as we're looking here, you look at the top 3 individual possessions, TJ Reid, Richie Horgan and Joe Canning. The impressive thing about this is that Richie was not taking the frees. So if you were a coach, you'd be doing your homework on that, and you'd be seriously considering doing a man marker. And also, if I was the Galway management, I'd be asking serious questions of, there are people in the stand, or why they didn't have people in the stand who were transmitting that information
Possibly
down.
needed to bring a forward out to pick him up at that stage, Des. You didn't want to leave your defence too exposed, and they did that very well all day. They covered. You want to be bringing a wing forward out or a corner forward out to meet him and stick with him out there.
All right, it'll be interesting to see the selections against them the next time. What about, there was a potential red card incident with Pádraig Mannion. How do you see it?
Yeah, there's, look, since I suppose about 2 seasons ago the rule was brought in that you just cannot interfere with the helmet anymore, and it's a high ball in. TJ caused Pádraig Mannion problems all day, inexperienced enough player, but we can clearly see a left hand just grabs the face guard, Des, and by the letter of the law, as far as I know, that's a red card. We see him getting a yellow card. I don't know why he gets a yellow card, whether it's for a lip or for what, but why a yellow card, I don't know.
Don't look.
Red, the rule was brought in for good reason, and the referee should have implemented the rules there.
OK then, Kilkenny, Galway hung in, they got the goals, they hung in, but in the end, Kilkenny still have that ability to pull away.
Yeah, there's so much to be admired about Galway today, Des. They fought like tigers and they never dropped their heads right to the end. And we see their attack here, they just wouldn't let Buckley out with the ball. Murphy blocked by David Burke, brilliant block. He's unfortunately on the end of the move. Johnny Glynn, man mountain, just barging his way through, great ball back to Burke. And like, sometimes you think if that was Jerry Aylward, that's a goal. But straight from the puck out, you see Owen Murphy giving the signal left hand up. That obviously means it's coming down the right wing. And we see Aylward here. He makes a run right from the middle of the pitch, right about 30 yards. First touch, swivels back onto his strong side over the bar. 4-point swing in an instant. Galway working so hard to try and get the score, and yet it comes so easy at the other end. Again, what separates them.
All right, well, Kilkenny champions again. Don't know, who are the nominees for man of the match?
So the nominees for man of the match are, like Anthony said, a lot for Galway to be happy with today. Cyril Donlan at centre forward was excellent. Worked like a Trojan there at times. From Kilkenny, Cillian Buckley continues to progress and looks like he's going to be one of the top players for Kilkenny over the next number of years. And the last nominee is TJ Reid. Again today, he's been consistently outstanding.
OK, not easy to choose today. Who did you go for, Anstey?
No, there's a tough one, and we mentioned a lot about Richie Hogan, and he didn't even get nominated. But TJ, 20 plays he was involved in, 1-9 he contributed, 1-3 from play, set up so much. Probably the most influential player in the country at the minute, and deservedly man of the match, I think.
Yeah, a good day all round for Ballyhale. Well done to TJ.
TJ, congratulations. You are the Centra RTE Man of the Match, and John Murphy from Centra is here to make the presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
So the cup goes to Ballyhale, so does Man of the Match. Well done to them. In the qualifiers, we had one game this afternoon where Westmeath were hosts to the